Hey friends, it's Ash here again doing another vid. Kind of want to do another vid about a stream of consciousness type deal. I was just thinking about how so many people, including myself in the past, I used to hold a lot of resentment for all the people that I felt had done things, wronged me, or maybe my one of your exes did you wrong, right? She did you dirty, whatever the story, right? We all have them. And what happens is when you hold a resentment for another person inside of yourself when they're no longer in your life, is that there's still a tie that binds you to them. And I didn't realize this for years, but I hadn't dealt with a lot of issues around my ex and other stuff. And I had a funny incident that sort of played this out to me when my karma was coming up uh, about a year ago or 6 months, when a lot of my karma was coming up in my body to be cleared, and I was sitting there like, what is going on? I mean, I'm in agony right now. I wake up thinking like, somebody just hacked my back up with a machete basically, and all my muscles are just raw, standing up on end, filled with stress and pain. And I realized that, uh, you know, my karma is coming up to be cleared. So one day I woke up and, I started to realize that when I woke up, I needed to take a minute or two to sit there and just sort of be thankful. One, two, feel what was coming over me, and if that was my emotion or feeling or if it was somebody else's. So one day I woke up and I hadn't thought about my ex for a long, long time. She hadn't even come into my head. And the first thing that day when I woke up, I was thinking about my ex for some reason. Right, first thing in the morning. So, I let the thought come over me. I didn't judge it, and then I let it go. And I got up and I, got some coffee, whatever, went about my day. About 1 or 2 in the afternoon, uh, I turned my phone on because I don't usually leave my phone on all day. I usually shut it off and just turn it on a few times a day to check it, and then I put it back in the drawer. Um, and I advise everybody to do that if you can. The less you're on that thing, the better. Um, and when I turned my phone on, there was a text from my ex that I hadn't heard from in years. So it just kind of showed me that, yeah, this was coming up to be cleared, and she texted you because A, you were thinking about her, or B, it was part of the karma that was coming up to be cleared, and you needed to clear it and end that with in a loving way by setting a boundary of, I'm not going to be in contact. I wish you all the best. I send you love, and I wish you well. And I just felt such a complete freedom after I did that, and I realized that things are going to happen. Your karma is going to come up to be cleared, and you have to clear it. You have to transmute that pain that comes up in any way you can, whether it's through the violet ray transmutation that I like to use, which is, you can look it up. Um, you can send the violet ray back through your entire life, actually. I was reading, and you could sort of like a I don't know, some kind of a remote controlled device that could fly back through your life and heal it. And so I started to do that, and then I sent it back through my generational line and my other past lives to try to heal those. And as you start to deal with your karma, however you want to deal with it, some people like to work out, release some stress. Some people like to work out and meditate and do combinations of things. I would suggest that. You have to find a balance between body and mind, right? Um, yeah, and so once I started to deal with my karma, it lightened me up. I didn't have as much pressure on me anymore, and certain people started to fall away that weren't meant to be in your life anymore, maybe, and that's okay. That happens with a lot of people. I find as I get older, and you know, you get into these magical times where maybe you're at a job and there's a certain clique of people, and it's just a good group, and you're part of something that's special, and you don't realize it at the time, and you don't think it'll ever end, but it will. So when you're involved in special times like that with special people, cherish it, because as you get older, it's harder to make friends. I don't know why, but it just is. So cherish those times when you're in big groups and you got a lot of friends, because it doesn't always end up that way in the end, and that's okay. You know, the friends that are meant to be with you your whole life will stay. They might be part of your soul family that reincarnated here. Who knows? I'm starting to realize that. I have a certain friend, I'm sure remain nameless, but the way we met was she was sitting by the water one day by the Hudson River, and I used to go down there with her. Sometimes when I was in my poetry days writing, I'd walk down by the water with my notebook and my pen, and if anything came up, I'd write some poems. And I saw this beautiful blonde woman sitting on a bench, and she was writing. And I figured, well, I won't sit right next to her. I'll sit with one bench in between us so I'm not invading her space. And I sat down and I started to write. And I struck up a conversation, and I asked her if she was writing poetry, because that's what I was writing. And I figured that would be a good icebreaker, because I'm notoriously bad at like meeting women and talking to, going up to strangers and starting a conversation is not something I usually do. Usually people come up to me. So we get into this long conversation about like 10 different topics. We end up having tons of things in common, and we're sitting there like 2 hours talking on the bench, to the point where I had a side face burn because I was facing her. The whole side of my face was burned the next day, and the whole side of my arm. Um, but it was just an amazing conversation, and you felt like, wow, who is this person? Why did I meet them? Did I meet them for a reason? And you realize, yeah, you did. And I still know this person, and over a decade or 12 years later, however long it's been. And, there's someone in my life, they're a friend. And, sometimes you meet special people like that. So when you do, just realize that sometimes you're supposed to meet people for a certain reason. They're in your life for a reason. They may be part of your soul family of people who've reincarnated again and again and again. And certain people you meet, you have that sort of feeling about like, you feel really familiar to me, but I never met you, but like I know you somehow. And that's why I think so. Those are special people. You only meet them one or two or three of them in a lifetime. So let's be open for that. Yeah, and this is just a rant video. I found that the basic thing about that gave me the most peace was forgiveness and sending love to the person. You can't, when you hold an anger towards another person, or you're envious of them, or you're jealous of them, or you just like them, then what you're doing is they're renting space in your head for free, one, and two, they're probably not worried about you, right? So why are you thinking about them? It's sort of, that's what I used to think. Why are you letting this person, like, why do you care so much about this person? And you couldn't get them out of your head. And the reason you can't is because you haven't forgiven them and sent them love. And once you do that, it brings all the anger out of it, and then you get peace, and that's how you release an incident of pain like that. And it's hard. Listen, you might have had someone that beat you up. You might have had someone that hurt you really badly, physically or otherwise. So I understand it. It's not easy to forgive someone. But when you can find that place in your heart space to do it, it opens up a whole other part of your heart. It opens up your empathy. And that's what we need to do, because you need to live from your heart space and your soul center now, not from the ego. And the ego gets pissed off when someone does you wrong, right? You hurt me, I hurt you back twice as bad, right? That's the New York way, right? You hit me, I hit you back twice as hard. Why? So you don't hit me again, or you think twice about it. So, that whole ideology doesn't always work, right? Because there's always going to be some guy that can hit you harder than you could hit him, or somebody that can hurt you more than, they know how to do it. And so, when you release an incident, you send love to the person, it robs them of any power they had over you, one. And two, it releases the incident from you where you can let it go with peace and love. And that's it, you know. And that's how you find the true peace from. And there's people that they'll rent space in your head the rest of your life. You can let them live there, and they will. And you'll have that nagging thing that's always there, and it's bothering you, and you can't release it or deal with it because you haven't forgiven the person and sent love. It's hard to love somebody that hurts you. Um, like I don't get a lot of love from my dad, right? We don't have a great, close, loving relationship. I still send him love though, because he needs it. He needs it more than me. And you know, there's a lot of people in this world that they weren't loved correctly by their parents, and so they have to learn how to love in a different way, and that's what I had to do. And I think maybe that was part of my karmic lesson that I needed to learn in this life, which is how do you spread love when you weren't loved? How do you show love when you weren't properly nourished and loved? And how do you find love when how do you find that love when you're not sure what the love is that you're looking for because you don't have anything to base it on? So you have to just envision the person that you're looking for and with certain the qualities that you want, and hopefully you find them. You can manifest them to you, maybe. So that's what I've been trying to do. I've been single for a long time. Uh, it's funny, I was watching these videos years ago about these guys. They call it MGTOW, MGTOW, which is men going their own way or women going their own way, which is men and women who have said, I'm not dating anymore, I'm done. It's mostly men that I've seen. The MGTOW ones are men, and the whole idea is I'm done dating. I'm done being emasculated by women, I guess, and yeah, I'm not going to do it anymore. I just choose to go my own way, and I'm going to just, you know, I'm not doing it anymore. This is not something I'm for. I mean, I don't think you should discount a whole sex of people because you've had some bad experiences, you know. We all have had bad dating and marriage experiences probably, but the point is you have to treat each person you meet in life as an individual. And when you put people in boxes, and you know you ascribe traits to a large groups of people, that usually is stereotypical, and it doesn't work because everybody's an individual, right? You may have had one bad experience with a certain type of person or a race of person or whatever, but that doesn't mean the next person's going to be the same. So once we realize that everyone's an individual, you don't get yourself trapped into these boxes of judgment where you know you're judging a person because of something, right? Where they're from, what their skin color is, or whatever their religious background, or whatever else, right? You just look at them as a human being without judgment, and that's it. So yeah, where am I going with this video? I don't know. I'm ranting. I guess I'm talking about releasing pain, forgiveness, because it's so important. I had a lot of people I felt did me wrong in my life. You know, maybe didn't treat me the way I felt I deserved, or maybe I was nicer to them and felt they didn't return the kindness in the same way. Whatever it is. But in the end, you must realize something, that you know forgiveness is the key, because when you forgive everybody in your life and you send love out, then you get it back in abundance to you. Uh, Maybe tenfold, right? Sometimes the Bible says that. You do good deeds, you get it back tenfold, right? You build up your chits, you build up your good karma. You know, we build up bad karma, you can also build up good karma. So I try to build up as much good karma as I can by helping others, by being in service to others and not of service to self, because that's it. There's only two types of people in the world. You can either choose to be of service to others or service to self. So you got to choose which which kind of life you want to lead, and what you're looking to get out of life, and try to live from your heart space. Try to be in service to others. It's a better way to live, I think. The ego wants to be in service to self. So the ego wants to acquire material items. The ego wants to experience the world through the five senses. And the mind, the other part of you, wants to experience the world from your heart space and through a connection between heart and mind. So getting out of that left brain space and going into the right brain, which is your heart space, and living there. So with that, I guess I'll let you guys go. I guess the main point of this video is forgiveness, and send love to others who you feel have wronged you. And most of all, forgiveness of self first. When you start by forgiving yourself first and loving yourself, then you can beam that love out into the world and get it back. So with that, I would say, please raise your vibration. Do your I am attributions every day, which is just saying I am and a positive trait afterwards. And maybe some meditation, working out, keep your diet right, and watch how your life will get better, because you're keeping yourself on the straight and narrow, and you've forgiven all those in the past that you feel have wronged you. And with that is a true freedom that you can have, where you can release all these things and you can move on with your life and live from your heart space and joy. So with that, I wish you peace and love, and I'll talk soon.